You're so 2000 and late. I'm so 2008. That's what the Black Eyed Peas sang in the year in question. They knew that 2008 would be a peak year. And assuredly it was a great year for video games. A Bobby Dazzler of an annum, whatever a Bobby Dazzler is. And while I paint your underlids with magic video games, from that year, I can easily take them away just like that. And I'm just about to do it right now because you need to know world facts about 2008, don't you? Whose format idea was this? Terrible. Let's start our overview of 2008 with the amazing manic pixie girl features of one Katy Perry, who is basically Zooey Deschanel with a big set of lungs because she's a singer. Very good singer too, if you like pop. Yes, she was aiming her nips at dads and lesbians worldwide by rattling out a song about kissing girls and indeed liking it. Yeah, she was going for that 2003 era tattoo money. Do you remember Tattoo? Crikey. The Americans elected relatively unknown and very much not Caucasian Barack Obama, and this progressive step, well, that heralded a new age of politics that has stayed with us until, oh God, not long. I just want to see what happens when a gun gets pregnant. The Olympics happened, and a star was born in Usain Bolt. And boy, the Jamaican was faster than a curry through an IBS sufferer. The Dark Knight came out and made people think they were being all grown up watching superhero films because it was filmed like a crime drama. It was dead classy like. And then it came out the same year as the MCU launching Iron Man, which made them not feel that grown up at all and made them feel like big kids smashing toys together. And it turns comic movies into sort of a never-ending CGI-filled soap opera, but with quips and megastars. And it was really good. In games news, the era of the Wii was undeniable, as in the US alone, its sales figures were more than that of the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 combined in 2008. This was aided by a string of high-quality first-party titles, endless low-quality shovelware, and clever gimmicks like Wii Fit that struck a chord with the new non-regular fan base of video games. You know, the older middle-aged female and your grannies and the like. The chord it struck was, of course, their tracksuit belt cord, the fat swine. People just want to get in shape. I shouldn't be that hard. Star Wars invaded the world of Soul Calibur in the most ingregorious crossover in the history of video games. Starkiller, Vader and Yoda do not look like they belong in the Soul Calibur universe, but there they are. Finally, Ninja Gaiden 2 came out on the Xbox 360, but it wasn't until the PS3 release a year later where the 6-axis would be used to shake the ladies' sweater meat about. If that's about 2009, why am I mentioning it now? Because I've got boobs on my brain thanks to Katy Perry. The zeros and the 8s in 2008 look a little bit like boobies, don't they? I think I probably need to get laid. So let's escape the summons to attend horny jail by cutting to the top 10 chase, shall we? But first, the rules. As I display footage of important games of the year that didn't make my list, allow me to explain the rules as in previous entries. The games featured are here on the basis of when they were originally released, on one of the original formats they were released upon. The only exception to this rule is if the game is sufficiently different in its conversions, such as Bionic Commando or Double Dragon on the NES, or Turtles 4 on the Mega Drive compared to the Super Nintendo one, say. I might not have played some of the games playing on screen at the moment, which is why they've probably missed out on the top 10 list that I've made, and I may have played some of them a lot later than their original release. They're all crackers though, you should try them. Physical games, unfortunately for most of us, and places like Game, I suppose, were about to find the signpost to the town of decline. Nighttime excursions to HMV on launch night for a Call of Duty or a FIFA, they were still a thing, but the days of the small studio were back, baby, and that was a good thing. They'd found a home in digital downloads. Xbox Live Arcade was a good thing. Braid was genius stuff. The story seems very simple. You, as the hero Tim, must rescue a princess from a monster. So far, so Mario. But no, there's more to this tale than meets the eye, and it's handled extremely smartly and effectively throughout the game's duration. And there's more to the gameplay too. Yes, it's got your sort of standard platform controls. Tim can jump, he can run, he can climb, but there's also an element of time that works in different ways throughout the game too, and you'll use these time elements to solve the game's many puzzles. It is a very intelligent piece of software that proves you shouldn't take things at face value, be that the rudimentary 2D gameplay and graphics, or the very clever plotline itself. There was a bit of a 2D platformer renaissance in 2008, and really, if you had to get just one, well, you should probably get this, as it's endless, effectively. Well, until they decided to switch off all the servers for Little Big Planets 1, 2 and 3 in 2021. Oops. Little Big Planet predated Mario Maker by 7 years, and so had the monopoly on build a stage platform chicanery. And yes, that includes all sorts of creative ways to make levels look like willies. Sackboy indeed, eh? You mean like testicles? There's a story mode too, and that can unlock extra level parts and Sackboy customizations. But the ability to create is the game's reason to be, and you should go and make a level, especially if you think that the Oil Ocean level in Sonic 2 was awful. It was, but go on, show 'em how it's done, son. So yes, platform games were making a comeback, but the first-person shooter was still king. So how about a mixture of both? Faith Connors is our fleet of foot hero, an underground parkour courier who smuggles packages and mission codes hither and dither. This is a game born of the last great peak for Electronic Arts before they fully became a money-siphoning swine hound. They took chances back then, and with Mirror's Edge they created something genuinely interesting, a game that introduces a whole new type of gameplay to the first-person environment. And truly, it is ballsy to make the worst part of a first-person shoot-'em-up into the actual whole game. That is, of course, the jumping. It's got a strong visual look, it's got saturated colours, and all of that stuff. It looks great, just like people when they do parkour. What the hell happened to parkour anyway? This is sort of when it was sort of at its peak, wasn't it? I bet all the kids who did it and then hurt themselves feel really dumb for giving themselves head injuries over what was essentially a 2 or 3 year fad. Silly old parkour. Take me down to the Paradise City, where we rev the engines and churn up the grit. Burnout Paradise was far better than that song that I've just made up, and it was also the culmination of the best arcade racing series of the noughties. And it's a fine evolution of them. It's the next logical step. It's got the open world of that era's most popular games, and it's a game that embraces the online experience of the 7th generation, where that sort of play became king. Burnout is what it always has been, a goosebump causing, hand sweat extracting, adrenal pumping thrill ride that only lets up when your heart just about can't take any more. And then you go off and find another race and it all begins again. Ultimately, Burnout Paradise turned out to be a great closer to the series' heyday. Vroom vroom. Who would have thought that a procedurally generated Rick Dangerous would be so high in my list? I bloody hate Rick Dangerous. It's an exercise in hateful frustration from the 8-bit and 16-bit computer days. And this is also frustrating, but it's incredibly addictive too. Spelunky never feels as unfair as its inspiration, and while it is very difficult, you can usually jump out of the way of danger if you're sharp enough. Getting its launch on the PC, this grade A platformer developed better visual styling and more elements when I eventually played it a few years later on Xbox Live, and it stands as one of my favourite Xbox Live arcade games to this very day. If you've never played Spelunky, please change that now. Every game will be a different experience, and you'll keep winning yourself to do better and get further. Gears of War 1 was a brilliant launch to the franchise, but Gears of War 2, well, that was even better. A more in-depth plot with better character development for its extended cast certainly helps proceedings. Gears of War 2 comes out of the gate fast and has a solidly brilliant opening half. While it loses a little bit of its lustre towards the end of the game, it's still a terrific little one-player adventure. But multiplayer has been given a boost too, with the new Horde mode being a big old chunk of fun, and you can go back to your old campaign and play the co-op mode, which makes the high quality entertainment even better. Core, this game is manly though, isn't it? Raw. I'm going to helicopter my genitals in the shower after I've played this. Raw. Do you like being spooked? Yes. Do you like space horror like Aliens? Yes. Do you like claustrophobic body horror like The Thing? Yes. How about all of those things mixed together like a goulash? Wowzers in my, yours and everyone's trousers if we haven't got a classic game here. Poor old Isaac Clarke is having a torrid old time on the good ship Ishimura. Well, I say good ship, it's bloody horrible. The poor old bugger has numerous run-ins with terrifyingly ugly, grotesque and gory necromorphs, and boy is that having an effect on his already troubled mind. It's highly playable and genuinely terrifying. Dead Space is a genuine standout in the survival horror genre. The atmosphere is teeth-grindingly intense, and it surely must be a contender, along with its sequel, to being the very best horror game of the entire generation. Excitement for this one was big. Grand Theft Auto was unquestionably the title of the previous generation, and surely with that extra welly of the 7th era of consoles we'd be getting a barnstorming classic. Well, certainly. The level of detail in every dirty Liberty City alleyway, the lengthy story, the sheer scale of the city itself, the money just thrown at every minutiae of this title, from the voice cast to the graphics to the music to everything. It was quality. It delivered in spades. Plus, we got the first online multiplayer GTA in the home, full of friends teaming up to play around with that daft swing that seemed to catapult you across the entire map. But sometimes they also left that swing alone and went and joined the many leaderboard competitions. Yet despite all this grandeur, something is missing. It is a fun game, but it's missing a sense of fun that Vice City and San Andreas both had in spades. It feels very beige, it feels very grey. Its cars handle realistically. There's something off about GTA 4. It's this sense of realism, I think, that hamstrings it at the very last corner in its bid for my number one. GTA 4 is brilliant, but can't you just smile a little bit for us? Bethesda Game Studios moved the beloved cult 2D Interplay franchise into the third dimension, and they finally got the mainstream recognition that franchise deserved. The post-apocalyptic open-world RPG was terrific as your survivor comes blinking out of Vault 101 sometime after a great war has made the world look like, Crawley or Moss-Side or Toxteth. Oh, just insert your local shitty town here. There's hundreds of hours of play in this game, with you battling and chatting with the mutated inhabitants of Washington's ruined landscape. Fallout 3 won a crop of Best of the Year awards, and rightly so. It's an outstanding piece of software, from its design to its gameplay to its direction. It is up there with the very best of the 7th generation's games, and is only kept off the top spot by me grinning like a big old goon at the following game. My number 1. Now, you know what? I think, despite its limited means, this game from THQ and Volition Studios, it got it completely right. For the most part, it's a janky, overreaching mess of software, constantly looking like it's about to break from its over-ambition. It is a game that cannot hope to compete with its more illustrious competitor, GTA 4. But what Saints Row 2 did do was take that daft sense of fun from the later PS2 Grand Theft Autos and crank that ridiculous sense of fun right past 10, right through 11, to an arbitrary number of your choosing. I'm going to say 26. It is extremely good fun, it's funny, it's got a customisable main character, it's got the absolutely hilarious insurance fraud minigame, it's overblown, it's complete bloody nonsense, and it is an absolute laugh riot, and boy do we need something like that these days. Maybe a controversial pick, but certainly my number 1 game of 2008. And that then is the end of the 2008 video, and with it the promise of one last video review of a year this annum, and that's going to be, can you guess, 2009. So is it going to be 2000 and crime, or is it going to be 2000 and fine? I can't even blame the Black Eyed Peas for that one. So I'll just say, like, subscribe, and K thanks and bye.